right, everybody, this week's Picture of the Week being sponsored by our friends over at Flowers Deer Processing and Garden Center. You guys can check them out right over there at 4550 Eatons Creek Road. And be sure to get in there because right around the 1st of April, they're going to be opening up full-time with their garden center and get you guys set up for all your gardening and flower needs for this coming season. Be sure to tell them thank you for everything they do for us right here at the show. All right, our first picture here. Now, Mike, you know this is my kind of fish right here, buddy. This is Jimmy Jordan. This is a nice redfish that he caught recently on the Dog River in Alabama. So congratulations on that fish, and that is one of my very favorite species to chase. If they had them here, I don't think I'd ever get anything else done than chasing redfish. So congratulations on that. This is a neat collage picture here. This is from Keith and Michelle Adams, and they like to go out and do crappie fish together. And they're a pretty good husband and wife team there. They're constantly putting fish in the boat. We've got several pictures from them over time. So congratulations on those and keep those crappie coming.
Some nice slabs.
That is. That's a nice one. And speaking of flowers, this is Mr. Mike Flowers himself with a nice smallmouth bass that he caught just a few weeks ago on one of our Middle Tennessee rivers. Congratulations on that fish. And up next here, this is Jim Flowers. You guys see Jim on the show quite a bit, and his wife Anna does recipes for us quite a bit as well. But Jim with a very nice smallmouth. Those guys had a really good day that day. As a matter of fact, I had to sift through a few pictures to decide which ones we're going to put on here.
Really?
So congratulations to them guys. And as y'all know now, those smallmouth are hitting on these rivers pretty good right now too. Y'all can send your pictures to us at 474 James Robertson Parkway, or get them to me on Facebook or Instagram, and we'll get them here on the show just as quick as we can. All right, welcome back to the studio, everybody. I'm joined with Donovan Grant and Dalton Weaver tonight here on the end, and got it right this time.
Yeah.
But Donovan, tell me a little bit about Bagger Buck first. Let's talk about it.
You know, I've been on the show a few times, and you know, we're a local company right here in Nashville. You know, started 16 years ago in my garage. Now we've moved and grown, and man, it's been a lot of a wild adventure, I will say. But basically, it's a deer attractant supplement you hang up in a tree. And you know, back when I first started, man, we had a few bag sizes, and now we've got, man, I can't even count them all on both hands now. So different sizes, different blends, and you know, it's been really great. You know, we do a big business with it every year, and we appreciate all the folks that have been buying it over the years here locally and all over the place. So, but that's kind of how it got going. You know, I started out in my garage, and deer liked it, so I liked it. You know what I mean?
They did, and I was telling you this earlier, but I actually had some of the bags that you were making in your garage at the time, about 16 years ago.
Yeah.
And even then, one of the best attractants I ever hung to get pictures on my cameras. And you know, they would come up and nibble the corner of the bag and lick the bag and all sorts, you know, not even just what was on the ground, but they try to get after that bag. And so I think it's really neat, especially sitting here now, 16 years later, here it is, you know, sitting right here, and I remember when you were doing them in your garage.
Yeah, hey, old school still works, doesn't it?
Yeah. And in fact, we were talking about before the show several different things, and you know, that was out of my garage back then for sure. And but you know, I made that then for Tennessee, basically. That's what I was doing, you know. I didn't realize we're going to be selling all over the United States, and you know, I've seen it in Canada and other countries as well. I'm like, man, I put them together in my own hand.
It's got to be a pretty good feeling, though.
Yeah, it is. You know, it really is. And you know, the thing about it is that it's an old timers technique. We talked about that earlier. So the thing with the old timers technique is they used to use this back when the population of deer was really limited.
Really.
In fact, a long time ago, there wasn't even states that even had a deer season. And you know, you tell people that nowadays, they go, "No, we've had deer forever." And I'm like, "No, we ain't had deer forever." Nor turkeys, but the old timers technique was pretty simple. They take a sock, or they take a whole burlap sack from feed store, and they put minerals in it, supplements in it, and hang it up in a tree, and it works. They bring deer in, and so that's kind of how it got started, you know. And so then I came up with my own blend, you know, like I said, many years ago, and deer loved it. And once I realized how much the deer loved it, and hey man, I'll tell you what, I loved it too, you know. But the great thing about it is you know, you need to supplement your deer, and you need to start now, whether it's my product, somebody else's product, and I will tell you why. It's really good for them. it helps them. You know, a lot of people think that, you know, during the winter that's when the deer have the hardest time. Well, in fact, really, it's during the summer.
It's when they're growing those antlers.
When they're growing those antlers. Yeah, that's right. So you want to get it to where they are able to use it anytime they need it, and they'll travel for miles to get it, especially if they're having issues. You know?
Absolutely. It's a deer 365, and we talked about that early too. I know that there are seasons here and seasons there, but deer season for me, and I know for Brandon, and I know we turkey hunt and fish and everything else, but deer season is 365 days. So
we pretty much never stop preparing for the next season.
That's right.
You know, and I get questioned many times, how do you guys shoot big bucks every year? You know, you're in Tennessee, how do you do that? You must have 1,000 acres. No, we're usually on honestly 40 to 100 acres, you know, most of the farms that we hunt. But we manage them, we keep an eye on them 365 days a year. My cameras never leave the woods. I've got several of those. Of course, you guys hear us talk about them all the time, but we use the cellular cameras from Sniper, and I'll have those things set up on different farms, and in real time I know what's going on. I know when numbers are picking up, I know when the rut's kind of kicking up, whatever. But this time of year, I'm checking up my survivors. I'm seeing what bucks have pulled through the year.
That's right. That's right.
I've still got several that are hard horn both sides, and then I've got several that don't have either side, you know. So it's kind of a way of keeping up with that. When are they dropping their antlers? You know, when is that happening? It is really good to help you. Something like this, we hang these up. You can see as your fawns are starting to drop.
That's right.
And that is a very key piece of deer hunting information.
That is.
When are your fawns dropping? Because if you can figure out the average time that they're hitting the ground, back that up by 200 days, and you'll know when the rut kind of peaks on your particular property. And history will show that it's pretty much going to be about the same every year. But 5 miles down the road on Mike's property, it could be different.
Totally different.
Yeah.
So
it's just we use these minerals like this basically year round to keep a continuous inventory of what's going on. Once the fawn drop goes, then it's time to get excited, because then it's time to start seeing, you know, what these antlers are doing, which deer
I
are
think
coming
the
around.
Sniper camera kind of keeps you excited all year round.
Well,
it does.
I will tell you something too. You're talking about when they drop too. A lot of times, you know, when I'm running my cameras, I have several cellular cameras too, where I'm getting live action when it's happened, right when it happens. But I've seen does come in and they're about to explode.
Yep.
And you know, and not long after that, they're bringing them back to the bags, and then they're working the bags. So what you're doing basically with this is it's habit forming pattern changes. So what happens is when it rains, you know, it's kind of like a tea bag. So moisture goes through it, starts to drip, and they learn every time it does that, that's where they go. So a lot of times those does bringing in those young are teaching them at an early age.
Yeah.
So you got
They'll
these
know
little
where
bucks.
that is forever.
Yeah.
They will.
And man,
They
it
will.
just works so great.
Yeah. Well, guys, it's time to go over and do this week's product of the week. This week's product of the week's been sponsored by our friends over at Caney Fork Outdoors. You guys can check them out at cfoutdoors.com, or get off at the Center Hill Dam exit, go to the bottom of the hill. Towards the dam there, you'll find them at the Big Rock Market. Those guys are wide open down there already. They're getting everybody ready to get out on the river and get the season started. And be sure to tell them thank you for all that they do for us here at the show. We really appreciate the Martin family and everything they do to be involved with us. All right, Donald, we've been talking about these tonight. Now, which model is this, or what type is this you have in your hand?
Well, this is our most sought after bag. It's called a packer bag, and I named that years ago because it's easy to throw a couple of these in your backpack. You pack them in, and you can hang them up to a sapling and just let it go. 7-8 foot off the ground is perfect. But now, 2 years ago, I introduced all the different blends, the flavor blends. So we have green apple and red delicious apple and persimmons and white oak acorn and peanut butter, and some of the ones that are used. And you know, it's basically they all work great. If they didn't, we wouldn't have them.
Right.
But you know, we have a lot of hunters that through the years have said, "Man, I wish they had that in persimmon," or they wish.
Yeah.
And so that's why we did.
So you do now.
So
right.
we do now. Yeah.
Right.
So
now, if somebody wanted to order this tonight, where do they go?
yeah. So you can go on our website at baggerbuck.com. You can get it there. We're also on Amazon. We're on eBay. We're in Sportsman's Guide. We do big business with them and have for the last 15 years. So you know, anywhere.
You're even in Canada, right?
Well,
somewhere up there.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people have bags up there. We don't actually ship ourselves there,
Right.
but
somebody does.
Somebody does. Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, we appreciate that very much, guys. We'll give you that information again here later on as well. We want you guys to be able to get your hands on some of these yourself. Love to support our Tennessee products, especially to have you guys right here in Nashville.
Well, I appreciate
We're going to
that.
take a quick break, guys. When we come back, we're going to open the phone lines for you, and we'll have some more Southern Woods and Waters.